I am the stone that the builder refused. I am the visual, the inspiration that made ladies sing the blues. I'm the spark that makes your idea bright. The same spark that lights the dark so that you can know your left from your right. I am the ballad that rocks the...
Perhaps it is a shame that the Boondocks did not survive his critics in the end. It was a really great show. And more so because there are way more offensive shows that happen to be white.
She's beautiful.
Still out there. The Boondocks to me is one of the greatest series ever made. Perhaps it is only condemned and the sorrowful fate that the greatest things only lead short lives. The Boondocks was really entertaining, beautifully made, hilarious, action-packed, insightful, and it had a lot of layered characters, and its social commentary on African American and African culture and society in general was right up there with the political best. It was as bold as it was funny. Created by American Aaron McGruder and first aired in 2005. Boondocks followed the adventures or misadventures of a black family of three as they moved in their predominantly white suburb of Woodcrest. As hilarious as it was, what many people may overlook was it had some really fierce satire that targeted the black community that made it the controversial show it was with critics and black scholars alike, and in particular the black media channel BET. So with that, let me see Africa present Satire and Social Commentary on Black Society, the Philosophy of the Boondocks. So, the structure of this analysis will be presented like this, in form of a section A and B, where I will show you how it used the satire and who or what it precisely targeted. Section A, the satirical devices. Part 1. The characters. The Boondocks creator Aaron McGruder mainly comments on black society through these really fascinating and distinct leading characters: Riley Freeman, Robert Grandpa Jebediah Freeman, Uncle Ruckus, and Huey Freeman. All these characters act as a representation of a distinct ideology or department that combine to form some really interesting interactions. Riley,
also known as AKA Horse Choker, AKA Pillsbury Doughboy, AKA Louis Rich.
Excellently voiced by Oscar-winning actress Regina King.
This is Riley Freeman, a.k.a. Young Escobar up in this beezy, and you tuned in to Sway in the Morning with Sway and Debbie Deb on Shade 45.
Represents the exalted black hip-hop culture. He is infatuated with what most African Americans are infatuated with. Things such as gangster rap, street cred, crime, money, violence, chains, masculinity, and consumerism.
Oh yeah, see? Gangstalicious dropped his gun, right? And I picked it up and I was like, kaplow, kaplow. It was like some old John Woo.
Let me take my medication. I need to take my
medication. And then Gangstalicious start crying and shit. I'm like, quit crying, you little bitch. You should have seen me. I was so gangster.
Must be a dream. What?
He is a direct product of the hip-hop media who fails to question it and blindly embraces all aspects of its culture. Robert Freeman, also known as Granddad, because of his age, acts as a portal to African American history. He regularly offers detailed narrations, although not entirely true, of actual events in the civil rights movement, and is even shown to personally know Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. himself. We get interesting cookies about the life of a black man back then through his flashbacks.
Don't get me wrong. I hated Jim Crow. Oh, the humiliation we had to endure.
It's cleaner than that jungle you come from, Coonskin. Shoot, if it was up to me, you'd be shitting from a tree outside. Now scram, spear chucker.
His presence also allows us to compare and contrast the modern life of the African American versus the historical one. Uncle Ruckus represents the bluntly racist, white supremacist, rather ignorant white man. He is ironically the darkest character in the series, which makes him somewhat immune to being racist in the traditional sense of the word. No matter what he says, and he sure says everything offensively possible.
Give us your strongest critique of President Obama. 1 minute.
I don't need a minute. He's a black sumbitch from the sweaty jungles of Kenya.
I yield the rest of my time. White businessman, that white entrepreneur who had the sense to look at a big, black, African Negro man. Put that nigger in chains. Drag his black ass all the way over here to America to do some productive work. Now that's what's made America great.
As Ruckus goes on these racist rants, he satirizes not only the black community, but the racist redneck as well. Some of the things he says can be justified because black people indeed do these things.
A black man that got 2 jobs, going to work every day, hates a nigga on welfare, like, nigga, get a job. I got 2, you can't get one?
I think it's interesting I got 32 jobs and most niggas say they can't find one. Niggas.
But also satirizes the idea of a white supremacist by the outrageous and exaggerated regard he holds them in.
People say there's no difference between the races. Well, I'll tell you what, I've been cleaning bathrooms for a long time, and I can say white man shit just don't smell the same as black African shit. See, the white man just got a better liver. How you doing this fine day, sir? May I say your dookie smells like sparkling ice water with a twist of lime.
Huey, the 10-year-old Freeman with the afro, is arguably the protagonist of the show who is wise beyond his years. He is the objective voice of reason in the show. One can also argue he is the voice of Aaron McGruder himself, because most of the grievances the show seeks to address are usually addressed directly by his words.
What the hell is wrong with you people? Every famous nigga that gets arrested is not Nelson Mandela? Yes, the government conspires to put a lot of innocent black men in jail on fallacious charges. But R. Kelly is not one of those men. We all know the nigga can sing. But what happened to standards? What happened to bare minimums? You a fan of R. Kelly? You want to help R. Kelly? Then get some counseling for R. Kelly.
He rarely smiles and protests a lot. Some may find him to be cynical, but I think he is more of a person who doesn't bullshit and calls a spade a spade. And with all the crazy things happening around him, he probably feels like he has nothing to smile about. Because of his high level of intelligence due to his excessive reading, he tends to see things clearly without cultural, emotional, and social bias, unlike the other 3 main characters. Of all the main characters, his foresight is the strongest, saving both his grandfather, younger brother, and even other characters from impending danger on multiple occasions. Though well versed with other cultures as well, he loves his people and is in touch with his black heritage. But unlike Riley, this love is not unconditional. He sees the black people's shortcomings, and for most of the series, he tries to help them see the light. But as the show presents, this is easier said than done.
Boo! Hey, you with the afro! Give it a rest! Beat it! Put the music back on! You're about to experience a nigger moment. Webster defines the nigger moment as a moment when ignorance overwhelms the mind of an otherwise logical Negro male.
Part B of Section A, the use of the N-word. From its inception, the Boondocks soon became notorious for its heavy use of the racial slur nigger.
Niggas are crazy, man. Nigga, shush!
Look at that.
Morning, nigga.
Are a bitch nigga. Wait.
Nigga, are you deaf? I'm a pimp named Slickback.
See, that's what I'm talking about right there. We don't use the N-word in this house.
Granddad, you said the word nigga 46 times yesterday. I counted.
Nigga, hush.
Very few characters don't use this word. It of course adds to his edgy humor, but still, the heavy use of the word does serve a deeper, more meaningful purpose. For context, I'ma give you a brief history of the word. Nigger is a Portuguese variation of saying black. It seemed innocent enough until all that slave mayhem started in the 17th century, where Africans were taken from their motherland to work as slaves in North America, a foreign land where they worked without wages while they were separated, traded, raped, tortured, and even murdered. The white slave owners realized how wrong this was, so they had to find a way to justify this inhumanity to themselves, and they sure did. That's when the word nigger really came into play. They had to hypnotize their own conscience into believing that what they were doing was normal. One of the most efficient ways to do that was to tell themselves they were not brutalizing or trading human beings, but animals. Animals called niggers. Animals that were supposed to be wild, primitive, lazy, directionless, inferior, and simply did not deserve to be treated as human. These were all amplified racial stereotypes, so they would not feel bad about what they were doing. The word even became that border between the white man and his own conscience. This word carries quite a lot of baggage. Throughout the show, the use of this word is a reminder to the black people who are acting in line with the Jim Crow stereotypes associated with the word. Such negative stereotypes such as unnecessary violence, impulsiveness, materialism, shallow thinking, dropping out of school, laziness, nudity, and most importantly, the poor reading culture of the black man. You know,
I.e., like a nigger.
That is why the word is excessively used throughout the show as a reminder of this shameful stereotypical behavior of blacks that reinforces the meaning of the word that damages the African image as a whole in modern society. There is a very controversial episode for the life of me, I don't know why, where civil rights Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. leader himself is portrayed as using the word.
Will you ignorant niggas please shut the hell up?
Yes, it's a bit risque to portray a civil rights legend using such a historical dirty word, but in the context it was used, it could be justified for me. He makes a big speech where he used it multiple times and not maliciously but as a wake-up call to call his race that seems to be losing its way.
Is this it? This is what I got all those ass whoopings for? I had a dream once. It was a dream that little black boys and little black girls would drink from the river of prosperity, freed from the thirst of oppression. But lo and behold, some 4 decades later, what have I found but a bunch of trifling, shiftless, good-for-nothing niggers? And I know some of you don't want to hear me say that word. It's the ugliest word in the English language, but that's what I see now, niggers. And you don't want to be a nigger, because niggers are living contradictions. Niggers are full of unfulfilled ambitions. Niggers wax and wane. Niggers love to complain. Niggers love to hear themselves talk but hate to explain.
On top of justifying his own use of the word, as you can see, this speech can be seen as a meta-commentary on why the entire show uses the word so excessively.